I use you as an example today. Did you get a chance to look at the Framingham stuff that I gave over? The tags with the Framingham.
Oh yes.
Example. Did you guys you get a chance to peek at those?
Yes.
We peeked at it. Yeah, we. No. You good? It was Mike Foley. I think we had sent it out.
Here's the town planner right there, Mark Hughes.
No. So I sent it out to Mike Foley.
Mike Foley, yeah.
Right. It was basically these tags as a draft, as a sample of what it would look like if it said the word Framingham on it. If it said the word and the confidence test that we have. So if anybody wants a copy of that, I can send you what we've been working as a model for Framingham. If you want that, I can forward that to you guys. I just need to get emails or cards from anybody, and I can show you what these tags look like.
Just a Word document that we can.
Yeah. Well, actually, I already tweaked it. I already put it in, and I'll explain right now what the tags are and what this is. Now, this is already in use in Seattle. So Seattle, after that tragic accident that happened out there, they had us come out and we talked about the confidence test. We talked about the tags. They have this system. Every fire escape in Seattle must have a white tag. If it's white, it's all right. And this tag has not only the information of when it got inspected, when the next inspection is, this is just like an elevator tag. And it has the phone number of who the inspector was, so that they, in case anything goes wrong, guess who they can call. It has all the information here of who repaired it, their license and phone number here, who repaired it. And it has the code right here. And this is in a plastic tag. And this thing sits just like that, 7 to 10 feet off the ground, tagged to the fire escape, permanently mounted to the fire escape, so that whenever you do your walkthrough, how soon can you find out when the next inspection is due? So now this is an idea that they're using. All fire escapes must be tagged white in Seattle. Now, in the meantime, when any inspector goes out, you must leave a tag. You either leave a yellow or a red tag. A yellow tag means it has deficiencies. It doesn't mean that it's functional. It means it has deficiencies, but there's nothing life-threatening. And if it has life-threatening, you put a red. At all times, in the disclaimer on these tags, which they didn't have on the other tags there, I put in that the owner is still held responsible while it's under a yellow and a red. The engineer accepts no liability. The only time an engineer will have liability is on a white. That's right.
We got a big problem.
Life safety issue. Fire watch. By the way, in California, if I inspect a fire escape and there's a life safety issue, I can't leave the site until I call the fire marshal, the fire department, because they're the ones who run the inspection. And I have to wait there and put command over to the guy, and then I can leave. And they will order fire watches and do whatever. But yes.
Tag it and leave.
Huh?
You can't just tag it and leave.
Right. But a lot of owners don't want to see, we tag all our fire escapes as part of our standard, but it's not required here in Massachusetts or any other state that you tag fire escapes. We recommend, as part of the process, imagine every tag in your city and or in Massachusetts must be tagged like an elevator. So somebody is going to have out there, so over the next 1 to 3 years, over the next 5 years, as you identify every fire escape, just put a tag on it. You don't put whites, only engineers can put the white tags. Now imagine, this is just a suggestion, that as you start identifying fire escape as an inspector, you can only put a yellow or you can put a red if it's got dangling trace. And all that tag does, when you read it, you read the first thing it says to do. Step number 1, if you've got a yellow or a red, and this is when the tag is it has your city information over here. Contact fire official or building official. Step number 2, have fire escape inspected. Contact structural engineer or other fire escape inspector. And number 3, load test a fire escape or provide an equivalence, a certification of some sort that satisfies building officials. So on the tag, it already says what to do. Now, this is going to take 1 to 3 years, 1 to 5 years for you to identify every fire escape in your city. If you do that permit thing, you just make every permit that gets pulled. In there, somewhere on your permit process, ask the little box, what's your means of egress? Internal or external? If it's external, what do you need? A current certification. You're not ordering anything, you're not even there. You just need a copy of the current certification, which must be done every 5 years, and I'm just signing off your permit. I'm trying to quote. That's what Boston does right now. I get calls all the time in Boston that somebody put in a cord, screwed in a light bulb, changed the faucet. And now they can't close this permit until they get a certification. So that was one of the things that resulted from this Channel 7 news report. That's what they did. You can call City of Boston and ask them how they implemented that piece. But now all permits trigger a request for the means of egress, internal or external. Because if it's internal, close the permit. If it's external, I need a copy. You're not forcing them to inspect. The fact that they haven't been inspecting is going to be obvious when they say, I haven't done that in 20 years. Well, I can't close this permit.
I'm not sure you legally can hold an electrical or plumbing permit for...
Speak. No, you don't. It's have to let them know you wish. It's closing it.
Yeah, closing it either. I mean...
Well, speak with Boston. They're doing that. I don't...
Boston says you have the authority to not close off that permit. It has nothing to do with the incident.
Well, maybe that's just the knowledge. Maybe you don't even use it to stop the permit, but you use it as a check, and then you say, you know what? Okay, here's the permit. It's closed. But by the way, now there's another violation.
Right. Right.
No, they don't. We
Okay, I'm not
can't
here.
hold the holder accountable for another department or another.
This is, if you're going to use this as a trigger, again, once you get a fire escape tagged in the United States, just like an elevator, how simple is it going to be for a fireman in the middle of the night, smoky conditions, gets to a fire escape? What's he looking for in your city? 7 to 10 feet off the ground, permanently mounted to the fire escape, encased in plastic, or mounted on the building. He sees what? White. If he sees a yellow or red, does he have justification to go back and get his ladder? So this is just one of the systems, okay?
Where do you have that standard of the 7 to 10 feet? Is there a standard for the fire escape? Is it part of your...
The answer is no. It's nowhere. But when you look at everything measured out there, all ladders end 7 to 10 feet off the ground. On average, the fire escape ladder, the last rung is 7 feet off the ground. In New Jersey, you can jump the last ladder rung can be 16 feet.
Oh, they broke an ankle, you're not dead.
You know, so I'm not here to change the code. I'm just here to let you know all over the United
What
States.
standard maybe there's a standard that you want.
So if your company goes and inspects, say I need an evaluation, and you go on inspection, you red tag or yellow tag, you automatically CC the building official?
Yeah.
In that community?
Yeah, every time.
No?
Yes. The way we do it is we tell everybody we call this up with an inspection. I need a fire escape violation. We educate the client on that. Listen, the first thing you got to do is whoever you're going to call, structural engineers or fire escape inspectors, because they're Googling or whatever, they must contact the building official. Generally did that, right? We called you guys and said, hey, we're looking to inspect in your city because this client wants to remove a violation and we want to make sure we're qualified. So we went through the whole process.
Yeah.
And we tell the client, our report is not only to you, we must share this report with the building official because he's going to determine the oversight of this fire escape. And all repairs are going to need a permit. Now, was this done 5 years ago, Jim? Nobody was doing any of this stuff 5 years ago. It's still not being done today. A lot of your cities, you guys are getting fire escapes fixed in your city with no permit, in and out, and an engineer piece of paper shows up in the mail to throw in the file. We're trying to stop that. We're trying to say that in a process of fire escapes that are 50 to 75 years old that are getting repaired, there should be a repair permit so that way somebody shows up there and pulls and has workers' comp and liability. Somebody's qualified and licensed is now an electrician fixing a fire escape. If this happens, guys with welding machines on the back of the truck welding their fire escapes shut. So the fact that, and even when you get a certificate in the mail, go back it out. Hey, engineer, was any work done to this? Great. There was supposed to be a permit, so I'll take your certificate. By the way, I got a new certificate that I need you to sign, but I need the vendor to call me pull a permit. It's a delayed permit. It's a, I don't know if you have fees for not pulling permits, but you can go through that process and just fill it in. Now you're going to find out who fixed it. Oh, it was an uncle of mine with a welding machine in the back of the truck. He fixed it. Well, that was. And is this a residential or commercial building? It's commercial building. Well, he has to be a licensed. You go through the whole process. And on the confidence test, it has that information. It has a box for that, so I'll show you where it is. These confidence tests that I have is available, again, if we're doing a city, we're more than welcome to share another city so you know what you can do. And you can just have your people paste your name into the top. So whatever we did for them, we'll either put your name on the top or we'll give it to you. It's either in a PDF or a Word document. Just change it out. Our name is not anywhere in it. It's just industry standard guidelines because they didn't exist. Do you guys know who invented the airbag? Mercedes. Do you know if they took a patent out of that or not? They didn't. You know why?
That went to liability.
Nope. They said this was too important for the auto industry for us to have a patent and be the only cars for 17 years that have airbags. So they put the information out and they said, everybody, airbags are cool, they're going to save lives, do whatever you want with them. And nobody could patent it because it was public knowledge. This information that I'm sharing with you is basically public knowledge so that every vendor that shows up in your city that wants to work has some standard. Every inspector that wants to show up in your city has some standards. But also every inspector in your city has some standards. And I have some videos online that you guys can go online. I'll show one video of how to properly inspect the fire escape without getting on it. I'm going to show you guys how to look up and immediately determine whether it needs a paint job or whether it needs repair.
Your website?
No, it's on YouTube. It's called Fire Escape Academy. But I'll show you in a second. By the way, guys, we've taught all the housing inspectors, both in Chinatown and Springfield, we've taught all the inspectors this type of class. And this is some of the walk-arounds that we do. We've done fire departments, building departments. It's going to take a while to get these laws changed, guys, so don't think we're going to do this overnight. So let's move right into the code here. This is tagging in Seattle. So when you walk by, you can easily read that from down below. This is how big their tags. They want 11 by 19 inches. Some crazy size. But I think that all the tags should be 8.5 by 11 is more than sufficient, 7 to 9 feet off the ground. And this is what a yellow looks like, this is what a red looks like, and this is what a white. Some critical information was missing in here, so we modified the tags to have more information on it. But this is all the information they want. This is how you verify the inside of a building. You got to open it up. A lot of destructive testing. This is another way to do it. You drill holes next to the steel. Now with that same hole, with that same drill, if I drill 5 inches out over there, instead of drilling it right there to determine, because I have to put a little snake in it, and this is what my snake looks like going down, and I got to look at the steel on the left and the cement on the right, and I have to have all that kinds of skill. If I take that same hole, which is a 3/4 hammer drill, and 5 inches away, I put a Hilti epoxy bolt in there, and then I clip it back to the existing thing that looked good anyway to begin with. There was no rusty tear or anything blowing out. Do I have to verify this connection now once I put an epoxy bolt? You know, one takes $250 to investigate. The other one takes $25 to do. Because after this, I got to fill this hole with cement again. So why do destructive testing? If all of a sudden I'm concerned about 3% of my fire escape is invisible to me, which is welded connections and cement connections, and through bolts on building, I can go into a building. I can drill a 1/2-inch hole in that sheetrock because it's a wood structure, and I can put that little snake in there. Can I verify a plate with a snake and they can take a photograph of the things that they sell at Home Depot now? That's the verification. I don't have to duplicate a connection if I can verify it. But sometimes it's cheaper, especially on cement buildings, to drill the same hole 5 inches away and just epoxy bolt it. And if that fails, who gets sued? Hilti. I didn't. I installed it.
We had an issue on a big thing with just epoxy.
Yeah.
And so forth. And you know, it's a sunny day out, but what if it's raining and snowing and it's cold out? You know, what's the application of that?
Exactly. In Seattle, you have to drill the holes. And then they have a hole inspector that comes out and says, you got to look down the hole and you got to put some things inside it to verify before you can do it. That's just another step. Meaning, is there a whole verification process here? But when you have 30, 40, 50 connections on the building, there's so much redundancy of the fire escape. Plus, you have the original that's still there. The epoxy bolt is just my new primary. The secondary stays. I don't blow out the secondary. So now I'm at 200% of what the law requires to attach that building in. So otherwise, in Seattle, they make you inspect the hole before you can even put an epoxy in there. So this is what it looks like when you start throwing those cameras in there. Load test. Somebody asked me about load test. Here's a load test. I've been at this since my dad dragged me into this business, 40 years. I've only done one load test in California. Here it is. And I did this by putting basically a weight down at the truck. Use the back of a truck as my load. And then with a monitor there and I come along in a lift, I basically exerted so many pounds, and then I load tested every floor all the way up. And then you have to have cables on this thing so that in case a floor wants to give way, the floors above it hold the floor below it in case there's a... But you know what a passing grade looks like, right? You guys know what a failing grade looks like? And somebody asked me, hey, you get on it, you stay near it, you go, you know, what's involved? Risk. That's why you don't load test it. If I can refurbish the fire escape, let's give you an example.
Why'd you load test that one?
And there's a strength. He didn't have a load test. Nobody was requiring. He wanted a load test. It was a condo. And he goes, I want a load test. I said, but it's going to cost you X dollars. I don't care. Give it. I got tons of money. I said, okay, we'll load test it for you. But here's the thing. I got a 5-story building that needs $10,000 worth of repairs. And I can use the word certified, which in this room is an equivalent to guaranteed. Or I can load test it for 10 grand. 10 grand that I need to move bricks and lead and men and people around. The guy doesn't get a stick of paint for the 10 grand on the load test. And I waste 2 days or 3 days load testing whatever, the whole configuration, rentals of machines and all that crap. 10 grand to get a refurbished fire escape, 10 grand to get a load test, and I take all the money. Use it to cover all the costs associated. 10 grand refurbishment, certification. And every connection, 100% of every connection, I have rebolted. 100% of every connection I can verify to you that it's free of any internal rust and sealed with 50-year silicone. 100% of all the connections tied back into the building have been verified and or they've been duplicated. In some cases, I can refurbish a portion of the fire escape and load test the rest because it's cheaper. So you can actually do a mix of the two. But once I refurbish every tread, every support, every rail, refurbished on a 50 to 75 to 100-year-old structure, which should have been done already, can I use the word certification, which is equivalent to the word guarantee? Because load test equals the word guarantee, doesn't it? Certification should be in the same word, right? Because I have to do one or two. Load test it or give you some other form of guarantee. Isn't that the word refurbishment? Now, will I guarantee, will an engineer in your city sign off on a 50 to 75-year-old square head bolt or a rivet without load testing it? He can use the word guarantee once he load tests it, but can he give you the word guarantee or certification on a 50 to 75 or 100-year-old rivet or square head without load testing? So that's why he's going to use disclaimers. To the best of my information, knowledge, and belief, blah, 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 blah. But somewhere down at the end of his stuff, he says, this does not include things I couldn't see, invisible defects, blah. You know, all kinds of, I know, I steal all kinds of disclaimers from them. But then all of a sudden, where did these disclaimers go when we hit Chicago, and Chicago brought in the building official? Where did the disclaimers go? Can't use them, because now they're saying, well, what is the official accepting? So now it's a question, what is he accepting? What's the critical examination? And so now the bar is being raised. So, that's a load test. Deflection, no more than 3/16 deflection. Then it fails the load test. That means the material So, I got my monitor. Load test 20% for 10 minutes. Then the remaining 60% for the remaining 20 minutes. They measure the individual. Engineer oversight. Get an engineer that told us what to do. So engineers on the fire escape, they have a testing company implement the test that they do the criteria for. Okay? This is what live load tests look like. Right? This happens in a lot of cities, doesn't it? Big party outside. Very common in New York for all the kids in college to get together on the fire escape and drink it up. And hang out just like this. You go upstairs to the apartment up above. But this is what the failed load test looks like. One of my guys in Chicago, his father 4 years ago was doing this. Fell 7 stories. Died. So it's just not people.
What's the picture?
That's an old picture from New York where people didn't have AC back in the 40s and the 50s. Guess where they slept? On the fire escape. Very famous. Firemen use fire escapes to get people out because there's no other way out. Firemen use fire escapes to get out of a building that's just basically everything's going to hell. People party and watch parades. Harvard Square. They're watching the parade, I think it was the Hasty Puddings Parade, and they're upstairs out of one of the buildings leaning on the molding of one of the very ornate old fire escapes, and boom, they pushed the molding cap off, which is the cast iron cap, and this projectile went down, missed a bunch of people sitting on the steps below, ricocheted and smacked somebody. So the ricocheting still caused some injuries, but this is what the inside of this or an epoxy bowl. Pick which one is cheaper. As soon as I open this, guess what happens? I got other issues now. I can't close this up now. Now we got to go into the building, deeper into the building. You know, all kinds of things need to be done. But if I leave this sleeping dog's lying and I mechanically fasten an epoxy bolt 5 inches away, do I have to deal with this anymore? Is that my primary anymore?
Now, are you having an engineer tell you how many bolts and stuff you need
Well,
to
every
replace what's
connection-
there, or?
Every connection needs another bolt. So if I have this, I need a connection for every support going into the wall. I don't need one for the bottom because the bottom is just the pressure, so I can put an angle plate next to it and just attach that way. And then I seal this as best I can. But this investigation is $250 a piece. An epoxy bolt is $25 to $50 a piece, whichever's cheaper and faster they're applying. An epoxy bolt, because I got a 50, 75, 100-year-old structure, and the inspector wants a verification. So go in and verify, drill it, investigate it, have a mason come and open up all the bricks, or drill a 3/4 hole 5 inches away, and then mechanically fasten it. Now I'm at 200% of that connection into the wall. My primary is my Hilti bolt. My secondary is the original. We do a downtown walk around. So this is a downtown walk around with the fire department, teaching them what to look for.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
This is another downtown. This is Newark. So we will walk with your departments. I'll show you how to look, but I'll show you that we've taken this and put it up online. Let me show you now on the confidence test if you want to. This confidence test, again, it's half the size, but so imagine it's a full size. This confidence test you can get online right now from Seattle. Go to Seattle Fire Prevention, and you go to their website. You download either a PDF or a Word document, and you can copy this, and then you take their name out if you wish, and you can use this as just an industry standard document. You don't have to say it's a Massachusetts document. You can just say, hey, this is an industry standard document. And when you look at it, you'll see that I have the information on the front that includes everything, including the renovator's information, license numbers, permits, and everything. The questions here, and I can send you the model draft that we did for Framingham, if you guys want. It shows page 2, and it even talks all the way to the cantilevers, structural. And if you read, I don't know if anybody's been reading some of the questions. We even touch catwalks, and all catwalks must be continuous. How many fire escapes do you have that land on the roof and then the ladders down the other end? All fire escapes must be one continuous means of egress over a roof, on a steel catwalk, getting into that ladder to that stair, then down to the ground. It's not even covered, but we put it on here. We also put on here the yearly walkthrough. If you go back to the next page, we have some industry standard inspections. We have some industry standard repair guidelines. So at any time, see that top where it says Fire Escape Services, we can just knock that off and put your city. Because our name is not anywhere in the information, but it's just guidelines. Remove the rust, change the bolt, seal it up. Paint.
This is what you would send us that you sent to Framingham, or do you have this on your website?
We would send this as you can use it as a Word document, you can put it on your letterhead, you can do anything you want with this information. It's, again, we make it industry standard documents that we give out to the city officials. You see the little diagrams here of how fire escapes are put together. We'll send you that. A lot of times you have engineers that are building new fire escapes. We send you sample drawings of what a ladder fire escape looks like, a spiral looks like, or what a roof catwalk system looks like. So we'll give you some of this. We'll even show you a proper attachment into the building. Guidelines here.
So you're going to forward this to Gene, and he can put it out to all of us?
Yeah. Again, this is pretty much a standard that we share this information, and right now, just so this fall we have you guys here. On the 12th, if you know any other inspector, we're doing the Taunton one on the 12th, and then on the 19th, we're doing it over here in Northampton. We're doing the Western Mass. So if you guys are have email blasts that you guys want to get the word out to somebody that they should attend the thing. It's getting recorded too, so a lot of times we try to put these up on YouTube so that you can review this the same information. But now let's go. I'll show you right now 2 places. So Fire Escape Engineers and Fire Escape Academies, 2 YouTube channels. And if you just type in Fire Escape Academy or Fire Escape Engineers, this is what you have available to you free online every day. So Fire Escape Academy, when you get there, there's, and I can send you a playlist. So let's do a playlist of I'm just gonna play one. Me teaching Portland, Oregon was a very good group. So when you go there, you have throughout the cities, and you're going to get a class. It's usually 3 to 5 minutes long. So if I do one in Massachusetts with an inspector, I can go out with you. We'll do a standard, typical fire escape, ladder one, platform one.
Fire escape Academy says training videos. We're here in Portland, Oregon. Not Oregon. We got John here, the inspector here. And let's take a look at it. First of all, let's pretend you can't see anything. 2 violations you can write. Must be structurally sound, must be kept painted. Don't jump on the heavy one yet. Structurally sound must be kept painted. The easiest one to write is
All of them.
No. Paint. Stick to paint. You can write those from your car. So, and it's very, the rule of thumb is very simple. Must have more paint than rust or more rust than paint. What's this one have? More rust than paint or more paint than rust? Do you need anything else?
So if you have a fire escape that has more rust than paint, there's
And
your
you write the
violation.
violation. How? What's the 3 words you write in the violation?
Maintenance code is always violated.
Repair, paint, test. Because they can test before or after the paint, it doesn't matter. So repair, paint it, test it. Right? Seems simple. A week ago, though, on this fire escape, they knew you were coming. The guys knew you were coming. And where are we? What's this address?
Second west corner.
You know you're coming, they paint the fire escape before you show
What
up.
building this is, right? But a week ago, the guy knew you were coming. And guess what he did to this fire escape before you came?
Through a fast coat paint.
He did. He threw a paint job. So now you're stuck like, oh my God, I know there's a problem there. But it's shiny black now. What are you going to do? Let's look for something else as an indicator.
Look for the rust.
No. Let's look for something even easier. Let's look for the square bolts. This fire escape is as old as the building and it's 50 to 75 years old. If it has the original square bolts on it and it's never been refurbished in its lifetime, is it suspect?
Yes.
So let's look for structural bolts. Do you see any squares or any rivets? Original. And you see on the support, you see some squares? So
Right through the ground, you find it out.
Listen now.
Shiny,
Beyond
excellent bolts.
can you write one just on structural now?
That's the evidence whether it's been maintained over 50
You
or
did
75
the easy
years.
one, which is a paint job. The guy made it easy for you. But
So
he
if
made
it's
it
shiny black or rusty
He said,
brown.
Still, I found other issues.
You're looking for evidence of
Over
maintenance.
75 years. I have no
Structural
evidence
changing
of
of bolts.
maintenance. So no evidence of maintenance makes the whole entire fire escape suspect. You write this violation how?
It's the same thing.
Oh my God, it's the same thing. Repair, paint, test. Where does rust come from? The outside of a fire escape or from the inside of a fire escape? That's from the inside. Everything starts in the connection within its first 5 years, right? So this is a 50 to 75-year-old fire escape. Now the third thing you look for, if you couldn't find them on paint, you couldn't find them on structural, can you find them on life safety? And what do we got here for life safety?
We're missing threads.
Missing treads and dangling treads. And you see all the tears on the treads?
So that's a life safety
You know,
issue.
we've got the snow.
So we start teaching the inspectors to keep their eye out and look for
You get a call and somebody
original hardware and no evidence of maintenance, so all the square heads and rivets on the entire fire escape.
What do I do with that
Not
tread?
one hex head.
Put it back around.
Is it possible for a fire escape to go 50 to 75 years without changing at least
So
one
what do you
tread
have on
bolt,
this fire escape?
one support
I
bolt?
don't know the address here, but I'm
As
sure
soon as you look at any fire escape, it's got nothing but original hardware.
We've got screen rust. We've got an open.
Everything is suspect because it's 50 to 75. And will I load test a 50 to 75-year-old fire escape?
Missing support.
Yeah.
You let me refurbish, and let's say the connection is in good to excellent condition, and I don't want to change the 50 to 75-year-old bolt, but you let me put a new bolt in the middle of the two.
Doesn't that cover all of
Can I
those?
then give you a
You need to
certification?
identify all the
Reinforce
things that's wrong with it.
You do that
Everything's so great, sometimes it's not.
You don't need to
Criminal to
three, you
remove
need just
that.
one.
Can I at least reinforce it so that I can do the equivalent? Both test and or equivalent.
Or a
Certification needs the word assurance, the word guarantee.
I have a deterioration
I
violation.
mean, you use the word guarantee, but when you refer to fire escape, that's supposed to be guarantees you're going to get.
Who's going to identify
Or a load
the
test.
hole, the broken tread?
$10,000 worth of repair or $10,000 worth of load testing. Which is better for clients?
If you
Load test an existing structure that's 50 to 75 years old, and like you said, you do it too far, like this.
You don't need to go beyond
50 to 75-year-old both shears.
In the two, you have a little bit of
Who am I going to sue?
If I open it by the 20 grand, then I get paid
You said
at
you-
1,000.
We're going to hire to do
And then they think that we broke it.
No,
Because you ordered a test. So let me change
When
what
you
you
run
want.
into violation, repair, paint, test. It forced.
Gentlemen, Firescape, that's Firescape Engineers. So if you go to Firescape Engineers, every time we do an inspection, whether it be in your city or whatever city, we send you a report to the client. We also, like you said, we notified the client, the engineer, the inspector. It's online. We CC you the link, and this is the link you would get on the typical Firescape inspection today. I'll show you one of the latest that. Yep. This is the last video.
So Cisco, you videotape every single one of your inspections?
Yes. Now we do. I mean, we've been doing it for the past 5 years, consistently, and that is to protect both us and the.
Sure, can I ask you a question while
Sure.
you're doing that? You mentioned earlier that there's 8,500 fire escapes in Boston. When you look at that news video you put on initially, even the inspector was not sure of how many escapes that he had in his city. So my question is, how did you arrive at the 8,500?
Boston actually had, prior to, they sent out, when they had money, a guy to, a group of people to find every fire escape in Boston, and they had an actual file, had 85 known fire escapes, 8,500 known fire escapes. Then through budget cutbacks and everything, that file is now handled by one person.
What time frame was that? What date was that?
That 2003 is when they did the story, but the fire escapes were numbered. I believe it was in probably in '95 that they had this as a known knowledge. Even today, they know that there's 8,500. It was Hank Phillips Ryan that got that number, but I also knew that number because we were told that in Boston there is.
That was a result of a collapse, in Cambridge or something, and collapse.
What, that news story?
Yeah.
No, it was because of the Station 9 fire. She was just calling around trying to get a story, and she just happened to call us, and someone said, oh. And because we did so many inspections, we said, by the way, are you aware that on average 75% of the fire escapes I inspect Sorry that this is taking a second. I just need to get you guys up to Academy.
What's he doing Wednesday afternoon? You never got off all that. One guy off the line around again.
6 feet high. Why is that number so low to you?
I was trying to do one thing when actuality I have to do just go to YouTube, and it's right there. So you go to youtube.com. I'm trying to go in my own way, but and then you just type in Firescape Academy. I'm actually going to do engineer, so I can show you an actual inspection. Do search. And on the Firescape Engineers, here's some Firescape inspections that we've done.
escape inspection summary video of the 57 Lakeview Ave fire escape. Fire escape has failed. The inspection has failed. It's got a yellow tag, not a red tag, it's a yellow tag, indicating that there's nothing that we can see right now that's life safety issue. And it failed for the following reasons. It needs a paint job. It's got structural issues inside the wall, so because all these tiers indicate that there's structural issues inside the wall. That chain is illegal. You can't drop this. You can't be controlling this ladder. This ladder either slides straight down or it can be a ladder on the wall that is a fold-out ladder. Or it's got to be under weights controlled 2 to 3 feet per second. This ladder could hurt or kill somebody if it swings out or somebody lets go, or even if that chain lets go. It's got all the original square head bolts, so this fire escape has never been refurbished on its life. So all these bolts are in question right now. So they need to be replaced and or backed up. So anything that's square head is so all major structural needs to be replaced and or backed up with a new bolt. Anything that's non-structural and the square head bolt is deemed to be good and stay.
So minor
And that's one of the
structural
reasons why the
issues
fire escape has failed its inspection.
it doesn't
Needs a paint job
affect
with
life
structural
safety
issues.
issues. All minor instead.
What will indicate.
Rail,
Any
which
questions?
is things that are minor.
Engineers,
Major structural must be removed.
866-649-0333. Inspector Meneses inspected this fire escape.
Is that a stucco? What is that?
Masonry.
Masonry?
Yeah.
Arch over it?
And the water goes in. Let me see if there's another. So I'm going to open it up to questions, but basically if you go to Fire Escape Engineers and Fire Escape Academy, we use the YouTube channel to put all our fire escape reports that we send to the client. The client also uses that same report to go to vendors who are bidding the job. They now get a play on what's going on, what needs to be done. They also get the report that's in 7 to 10 days that we give with all the violation photos. The building inspector gets the link to the video plus the photographs. So even if we get knocked out, because the client says, oh, we don't want you doing this fire escape anymore, the building inspector has been made aware that the fire escape needs to have a permit pulled on it, needs to have a confidence test signed at the end. So we've given all our critical information to the building inspector. So that's the important part, is that on this, and this is all industry standard guidelines and information, we'll share, and we have given to many cities, and again, the next classes that we're doing here as well as across the country, because next week I'm actually in Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Tacoma, and LA. These are the same class. Because it just doesn't catch like wildfire. Everything is really down to a grassroots level. Sometimes they want the state to take the lead and disseminate all this information down. Believe it or not, nationwide I've had more effect where I have a local guy saying, you know what, I can't wait for the state. And they have, through the council, put in an ordinance that accepts some guidelines. It's not a state, so they can do it that way. In Seattle, they actually changed the fire code, specific only to Seattle, to not wait for the state to come in and do whatever. We're going out to Portland next week because Portland now on the state level wants to change the code, but they have no guidelines. So, as we spoke about this before, where this can come from me and I can pass it on to you, but a lot of times I pass it on to an individual, but he's doing it in his city, but the local cities are not doing it, and somebody mentions, oh, there's this guy you should be talking to. Yes. Pass all the names to me and I'll speak with as many people as I can, but sometimes the doors I'm speaking through a closed door, or somebody needs to open the door and just get me in. I'll keep talking because I don't have to invent a lot of this stuff. I'm willing to give it for free. It's already here. A lot of the stuff that I need is, and I think we even did this with Jim, we sent him a what's called an inspection criteria requirement. So we said, hey, you wrote a violation, here's 3 criteria. The level 1 inspection, and you may remember this, is a visual opinion with all the disclaimers that I can put on my paperwork. Is that what you want to remove this violation? A level 2 is called the calculated load test. A calculated load test involves critical examination, verification, and all that stuff. And that's the certification guarantee that we talked about. And or a level 3 inspection is a live load. And I asked him, which one do you want for your client to remove this violation? I took it off of me because Chicago showed me something. It says, you wrote the violation, what do you want that's considered either a load test or an examination as per your code? And the examination, so we're sort of stepping back, and I don't care what city it is in Massachusetts now. I send a letter to the inspector saying, tell me what is going to remove this violation.
And the answer is, explain to me how you satisfy 780 CMR section 1001.3.
And the refurbishment, will that satisfy you? If I was coming to you and I came and I said, I refurbished it 100% in lieu of a load test, is that good enough for you?
Comply with the code.
What are you looking for in the code? That it means 100 pounds per square foot?
You satisfied it.
Yeah, that's my level 2 calculated load test. So I will, this farscape will take 100 pounds per square foot. You see what he's looking for? Because I'm trying to put the responsibility back on him. You porcupine it back to me and said, okay. I give it back to him, I said, that's a level 2. Will I sign off on a level 1? Which is what everyone in this state is doing. Everybody's signing off level 1s now as we speak. Will you allow, now that you've read the code a little bit more, it just says test or examine. And there's the word certified, it's still in there, right? The word certified stayed in there. What's the word certified mean to you? Is that an equivalency of load test? So just have any engineer, any inspector satisfy you in your city that he's achieved the word load test or certification, and they both mean the same thing to you as per the code. Any questions? And I'll stay here a little while longer after this, but that's pretty much the entire class, which I got recorded. If anybody wants copies of the class, we're more than happy to share with that in the future video also.
Questions? Let's thank
Thank you.
I want to get one of my cars, I'll send you some of this information. And if anybody wants what we've done for Framingham, I can send you some of that information that was done for Framingham. Yeah, we have Department of Public Safety, right? We've sent them.